Welcome back. Hey, it's Jann Arden. You're listening to the Jann Arden podcast. I'm here with Sarah Burke. Caitlin Green is off on what is going to be quite a few little summer getaways for her, Kyle, and young Will. And so it's just you and me today, Sarah. But we got a lot of shit to catch up on. You just got back from Italy.
And you just had a pretty big tour. You wrapped up in Toronto. It was so nice to see you at Massey Hall.
Yeah.
By the way, I was sitting next to some OnlyJanns who loved the show.
They kept screaming, "Oh, we're OnlyJanns!"
So funny, but it feels so weird. Like, how many weeks has it been since we did like a podcast that actually releases the week?
3 weeks.
I really missed you guys.
So what we did, because I'm going away and because Sarah obviously was, had this vacation and some work vacation, bunch of stuff planned. We just thought, let's get some stuff in the can. Yeah. Let's get things done so that we can take a break, not worry, not be texting each other like, oh, I can do mine from the hotel. There's pretty good Wi-Fi in the lobby. We can set up in there, like all that shit. And, but it has felt like a long time. Like when we logged on today, I'm just like, I feel like I haven't seen you. I mean, I saw you at the show night before last. And that was the first time I'd seen you in a long time.
It was like 20 minutes of like catching up and us being like, oh, we should hit record now.
Oh, I know. I know. But here we are. How was your vacation? So tell me, what does travel look like these days? And we always hear these things about a bit of a backlash with tourism. We're seeing it in Portugal. We're seeing it in Spain. We're seeing it definitely in Italy, the Amalfi Coast, all those places that are besieged with tourists. What was your experience?
So it was very early in tourist season, right? Like first week. We had the perfect weather because of that, which was amazing. But I noticed a huge difference between like Florence, which, this is like the type of crowds that you would see in Rome, and like people that need to visit like, the Michelangelo sculptures, and they're crazy for every single museum and every single tourist spot. But then, being in the countryside is a totally different story. You can see the eye rolls about the tourists in the places like Florence, but in Tuscany, I was in a little village called Meraviglia in Monte San Savino, and it was like the people actually want to share the history of their land with you. I was on an olive farm for this yoga retreat, by the way. And so I learned about like the whole olive picking and pressing process, and, have brought home olive oil for my parents and, a couple people that has health benefits that we would never see from the oil, that is here and sold in North America. So really interesting learning about the land. Even in the first leg of my trip, I was laughing because I pronounced it so wrong. Did you see the little video I did in Patreon about my first adventure?
Yes.
Have you been to that town?
No.
Okay, so I said like Cinque Terre, but it's Cinque Terre.
Cinque Terre.
Cinque Terre.
Listen, I don't even know how to say some of the stuff you order off of an Italian menu. I always get that one.
Oh, I kept saying gracias instead of grazie, and that was one thing I learned on the olive farm, because we kept saying grazie, and she's like grazie. This beautiful couple who are, they're so young. The mother had the property. He was Francesco and Francesca.
Come on.
I know.
Francesco and Francesca. So if you're calling out somebody's name during sex, you have like a 50-50 chance of.
So funny. But his mother, had the property, and then it became too much for her. So although he had moved to North America, he lived in Asia for a bit. He went home to like reconnect with his roots and help his mom with the property. And now he's turned it into like, retreat central, which is fantastic. But Cinque Terre was an accident. So talk about travel mishaps. So the Italian train system is known for some hiccups, and we had booked our train ahead.
I have heard that.
Yeah, we had booked our train ahead. We were supposed to get off the airplane in Florence and head straight to Bari, Puglia. And we had a connection. So the first train was going to be a half hour late, and we would have had to stand for 6 hours without having a seat, and we would get into Bari after midnight on our first day of travel. So we were like, oh God, I think we have to rethink this. So, my girlfriend Daryl, who I was traveling with, a high school friend, sort of like the voice of reason, even though I was really stuck on Puglia because it looks so beautiful. I was like, oh, maybe we can still do it. She starts looking at some other spots. She's like, we talked about going here, Cinque Terre. Like, how about let's look at some Airbnbs. Well, we booked an Airbnb on the train. It was 2.5 hours instead of 6 hours. And we ended up in the best Airbnb I've ever fucking seen. That's what I posted.
So I saw that. So what made it so great?
So first of all, you have water and mountain view from your patio of your bedroom. Like it was so mind-blowing. The woman who owned this Airbnb had been there for 20 years, but she was British, and she was like, oh girls, it sounds like you've had a long day. Like she was checking in on us to make sure we were okay, and like bug spray, and if we had hangovers the next day. Like she was so accommodating. But it was a hike up to like our Airbnb was on the top of this fucking hill. Like
so
my legs.
By hike, you mean, so are you carrying luggage up?
So she suggested that if we had a long travel day, that we call, her one taxi friend to take us up the mountain.
Okay.
So she's like,
did not do that?
No, we did. Because she said, if you're really fit, you can totally do it, but you will get up here like sweating and dying of exhaustion. She's like, so I'll leave it up to you. But even just like going up and down to do dinners, right? Like in the little village, this Cinque Terre, the sink is for 5, right? 5 villages.
Yep.
So like it was a hike every single time up and down. So imagine, it was hard without luggage. I can't even imagine with luggage. It was insane.
And this wasn't carry on either. These were full-size suitcases because had been gone.
I did a carry on.
Okay.
First time. Like for a trip like this big. So it was hard. But my ticket came with checked luggage on the way back. So my friend and I decided that we were going to go shopping.
Buy a suitcase.
Buy a really cheap suitcase, fill it, and check that on the way home. So we did do that, except I bought like a beautiful leather suitcase from like an Italian leather maker. So it was very heavy. I had to get a massage yesterday. My neck has been so messed up for 3 days from carrying that thing, but it was so worth it. I disconnected, laptop at home, wild for this girl, wild for 2 weeks. Can you imagine that? Like I can't. It's crazy.
But you can do a lot on your smartphone.
I mean, I could correct, like there was a point where our episode with our recent guest Thordis, like there was a typo, and thank you to anyone who pointed that out.
Yes.
Of the R, and like, so that's easy for me to like update in just the Chrome browser on my phone, but like I can't edit audio on the fly. So it required getting a lot of people, including us, set up before I left. But it was amazing. It was an amazing trip.
Now the travel itself, I know on the way back you had a bit of a hitch. Your flight got delayed in France, but going, what airports feel okay right now? Like you were saying, it's not quite tourist summer season yet.
Yeah, and Florence is a smaller airport. Like I think you can fly, if I understood correctly, direct from Rome, like just a straight shoot back to Toronto. But we had Florence to Paris on the way home. We did Florence to Amsterdam to Florence on the way there. And it's a very small airport. Like, you know where everything is. All the gates are right there. Like it's very simple. So what had happened, because I was texting you and Caitlin, basically they took off from Paris. We're in the air for about an hour and 40 minutes. And then they come over the thing and it's Air France. So it's French. And we're like, oh, there's a problem. But we're like trying to understand what it is. They had to turn around back to Paris because it was
after an hour
and 45 minutes. Yep. And they said it was because they have 2 air conditioning systems. One of them was down and it was going to be a problem over the Atlantic. So they turned around. We were on that plane, Jan, for 17 hours. It was like, because the 2 choices once you land back in Paris are they're going to do a repair and keep you on the airplane so that they don't have to deal with like people on and off. Okay. And also safety regulations. And the other option is finding a new plane, disembarking, getting everyone off and onto the new plane, which actually takes hours longer than a repair.
So did you stay on the plane then? Is this what you're telling me?
Yes, that's when I was texting you.
So how did they feed you?
They didn't feed us during that time. They can't. There's regulations. We actually talked to a flight attendant about this.
But you were on the plane 17 hours?
Total. They fed us like once we were in the air. So yes, they did feed us.
Okay. But you couldn't get off the plane?
Couldn't get off the plane. It was we were lucky. Like this could have been worse. It was like 2 hours and 20 minutes for the repair. Very lucky.
Okay.
We were supposed to take off at 6:45. We took off at 11:30 p.m. the second time.
So once you got up in the air, you did get your meal service, you got your
Yeah.
drinks, but
They
it
could
was
only
that
do
4,
water.
5, 6 hours that was really precarious of like, we just got to
Yeah.
fucking sit here. And
Yeah.
did you have a charging cord with you? Because this is the whole thing.
Yes, but their
You-
Wi-Fi was turned off. So I actually, and you need the Wi-Fi to turn on your eSIMs in a new country. I only bought an eSIM for Italy, not France.
Okay.
So that's when I turned on my data, like roam like home, which I was
Oh.
trying to avoid, just to let my parents know I was safe and what was
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, yeah.
And that's when I talked to you guys. But the safety part, you know, the carts where they serve the food off of, right? Like they go
Mhm.
up and down the aisle. That's the part that they're not by regulation allowed to do while you're grounded. You have to be in the air.
There's so many regulations and rules and you know, these things, these guidelines that they have to follow, man. That is just the way it is. I've been on many flights
Yeah.
over the years where I've done just that. I've been on planes. By the time they do a repair, I remember they came on, this was years ago, and they replaced 2 seats on the plane. I
Oh
don't,
my God.
can't speculate what happened there, but they literally came on with 2 seats, took the other ones out, put those seats in. And the other time, one of the emergency doors were taken out and replaced. So
Oh
we
my
had gotten up in the air, we came back, landed back. I feel like it was Winnipeg. It was a Canadian thing. And literally the pilot came on and said that the emergency door wasn't closing properly. So whatever, it's almost like someone had pulled it. You know how some people just don't think and they're like, it
They're
says
stupid,
pull
yeah.
and they fucking pull it.
Yeah.
So they came on and replaced that. And I'm like, we were just up in the air right now and that door wasn't closed. It's not
The
like you're in a
scariest-
Volvo.
No, the scariest fucking thing. So, like, think about air conditioning, right? Like, they have to drain the condensation. That's part of an air
Yes.
conditioning system. Well, so my girlfriend Daryl, she opens, you know, the window, and we just see liquid shooting out of the airplane. She goes, "That can't be good." We've both never seen anything like it. So we were like, okay, like we were really scared until we understood what was going on. I
Yes.
was freaking out. And I was calculating what my girlfriend and I owed each other to like even up from spending on the trip. And I was like, I can't go out like this. I'm like, give me a hug, like love me.
You don't owe me $108. You don't ever have to pay that.
Yeah, we were scared.
Have you ever been on a plane when you're sitting, they're like, please keep the windows closed to keep the interior of the cabin cool, because it is like 100 degrees on the tarmac.
Yes.
This happened to me in Vegas. We were leaving Vegas. It was early morning, which is the only time to get out of Vegas. Like, get out of there at 7 a.m. Do not wait till it's like 4,000 degrees. So the plane finally turns on because it was pretty hot in there. Cool air is coming in. We're just like, oh God, thank God,
Good.
thank God. So we take off. Everything's fine and good. We get up in the air, seatbelt sign goes off, and then all of a sudden, all this, it looked like smoke coming out of the sides of the plane, like where I guess the air con would be. It
Yeah.
was just condensation. So it was the cool air hitting the warm air of the cabin.
And just
It looked
sitting.
like Sarah, it looked like we were on fire. Like I thought this is it. We're going to fucking go down in Palm Springs somewhere. And there was so much smoke. Everyone was hitting the flight attendant button and people were going, hey, there's smoke. Like the whole, like 160 of us sitting on there. And then finally the pilot came on. Sorry, folks, you're going to probably notice some condensation coming out of the the vents, and that will dissipate as soon as the cabin temperature evens up with where we're, blah, 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 all this. But you might have wanted to tell us that before it started happening, because it was really scary.
Yeah. I still have, I will say, like a tiny bit of anxiety about like people fucking hacking up a lung on an airplane right now. Like, you would think that people have their own awareness. Like, if you're that sick, maybe you could wear a mask. But
Yes.
anyway, I ended up like handing a cough drop to this one woman. 17 hours of her hacking, and it was I was in the seat on like the aisle, and she was on the other aisle, and I was just like, would you like a
Lady.
strepsil? Like, please. But I wore a mask. I wore a mask on the way home, like on
You know,
and off.
You did yourself a favor. I think even if you do hear coughs, that's the
Yeah.
time to put it on. I think if you're in kind of a calm cabin, you're probably going to
Yeah.
be okay. But it's still out there. There's lots of things.
Yeah.
There's lots of respiratory things out there. Caitlin was worried sick about going away
Oh,
today
yes. Yes.
because 20 children at Will's
Yeah.
daycare were like projectile vomiting, really,
She
really
has the
sick.
worst luck with this. So she's like, I kept Will home, and we were like, good, please.
Well, it's like living in some kind of a beaker in a science experiment. Having children that go to daytale.
Yeah.
I anyway, it's traveling is not for fun. It's not a fun thing. Touring is move, 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 move. It's rental cars.
Yeah.
There's always lineups for rental cars. I'll just word to the wise. If you're going to be traveling, please, please, please take extra time for yourself. So if anything could happen,
Yeah.
delays and all those kinds of things. But even if you think, oh, 90 minutes will be good, you know what? Go 2.5 hours early. Make sure you can get to where you're going, especially if you're traveling with kids or if you're traveling with your parents that don't know what they're doing. Chris and I do not rush through airports. We are organized. We
Yeah.
make sure that we've got, water in our bags, or we just take the extra time.
We wish we had snacks so badly. That was one thing. We were a little behind. Our first
Yeah.
flight of 2 was delayed, so we had no snacks. We were
Yeah.
very hangry by the
Yeah.
end of that.
Well,
Yeah.
I always have crazy things in my purse. I usually always have a pack of gum, but I always have mixed nuts. So when and I don't buy them in airports, folks, because they are $9.99 or $12.99.
No.
I get mixed nuts, or I just bag them up myself in a Ziploc
I do
bag.
that all the time.
I'll throw in some
Chocolate chips, maybe?
yeah, anything like raisins, and a lot of times I'll have a bag of corn nuts, but I'll have 3 or 4 things in my purse because Chris will say, "Do you have any snacks?" I'm like, "What do you want? I got 5 fucking things in here. Do you want to?" Like, I buy those bagged pickles all the time. Laugh at me now, but I'll tell you what, there's nothing more gratifying than saying, "You know what? I'll have the crackers and hummus, please." And I'll get that for myself on the plane. And then I put on a slice of pickle and I look, other passengers are looking at me with jealousy. And they're like, "Ooh, that looks so good what that lady's having."
Oh, I forgot. This is actually funny. After being hangry and thinking we had no snacks, we had bought what was that cheese called? Pecorini, I think. I could be wrong, but
Pecorino?
something like that.
Okay.
And
It's
so
a hard cheese. It's a hard Italian cheese.
it's almost like Parmesan, but not.
Yes.
And so on the last night in Florence, like we had this incredible view of the Duomo. And for Patreon, there is a motorcycle story that we will get to for our OnlyJanns. But for this incredible view on our patio, which we had spent no time on, we wanted to do like wine and cheese on the patio for the last
Sounds
night.
good to me.
So that cheese we did not finish, and it was in my purse the entire time. So when we got our meals up in the air, finally after taking off the second time, we were like, "Oh, we'll just cut some slices to go with our little meal from Air France."
But you had it the whole time.
the whole time.
God
we
damn
forgot.
it.
I know.
Well, anyway, that's what I mean. Just be prepared. Have a
Yeah.
few things. For God's sakes, don't be
Yeah.
caught in the airport, and don't complain if you're buying $40 worth of snacks that would literally cost you $5 at your local grocery store. It's so good. And all that stuff you can bring through security. Any kind of snacks, Rice Krispie squares, cookies, nuts, peanuts, whatever. You can bring cheese through there, just not liquids. So don't get confused. Like, don't bring fruit on an international thing, and don't bring meat. Like, use your noggin.
Use your
that
noggin.
stuff ain't
Yeah.
gonna go.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're moving on. That was
Okay.
very interesting. I'm glad you are home, but I lived very vicariously through you, and good for you. It's so nice to have things to look forward to. And is it a place you would go back to before we move on?
100%. And they do some really interesting things for like family retreats. I know my parents want to go to Italy. You got to meet my dad, which was so nice at your Massey Hall show. And yeah, we got to get these guys to Italy. So, by the way, my retreat was vegetarian, which I did not know. And it was incredible. I never needed meat.
Yeah, I think there's a way of, vegan is tough. I'm not going to lie. It's, you cut out obviously eggs and dairy. That's the other branch of veganism. But in vegetarian, it includes all your dairy. It includes and I still think that is a great option for people wanting to go more plant-based. So don't be deterred that you have to be all or nothing. And it's like you said, Sarah, you're not getting a fucking giant pork chop, a T-bone steak, and salami, but you're not feeling like you're missing anything.
I felt nothing. I loved it.
Pasta, bread, pizzas, and all the vegetables, and it's a delicious way to eat. Anyway,
it is.
Okay,
What
price
else?
of peace and quiet. The price of peace and quiet. This is kind of in conjunction with what you just did, because I'm sure there was a bit of peace and quiet.
Yes.
How much would you pay for one day of peace and quiet? According to a new survey, the average North American would pay, Jesus Christ, $2,521. Where did they come up with this shit? For one day of peace and quiet. Parents were willing to shell out even more for one of those days, about $3,600. The average parent surveyed said they would gladly pay $325 for a lazy morning to themselves. Okay, please comment.
You and I don't really have this problem because, we live alone and do our thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bless the quiet. But for those who don't, this reminds me of those parents who sit in their cars for like a half hour when they get home somewhere before going inside.
Aww.
Do you know what I mean? Because they just want a minute to decompress and let the day go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it makes sense to me how much a parent would be willing to give up. But like, the $325 for a lazy morning to oneself, like, whether you call in sick and you go get a massage, like that feels about like something like that, or a spa morning.
But the fact that, that kind of money, Jesus, that's 6 months of freaking groceries.
Yes.
The survey found that the average respondent, so the average person out there that is seeking peace and quiet and is willing to pay for it, this is sad. Okay, you ready for this? Please sit down if you're not sitting down. The average person gets 9.5 hours a month to themselves.
So sad.
Just over 2 hours a week. That's not good. I'll tell you right now, that is not good. I was saying to Sarah before we went on the air that today, obviously, I've been traveling for the last 3 weeks. I'm doing nothing today. We're recording the podcast, which I've really been looking forward to. I'm going to have another cup of tea. I'm going to make myself a nice curry meal with some rice. And I can do that. I don't have kids running around. I don't have to drive anyone to sports. Like, Sarah, you nailed it. It's like we're lucky. We're lucky, but we're also, do you ever look at it like, I wish I had people running around and stuff that I needed to do? I mean, there's always the other side.
Here and there.
Grass is always greener, right?
Here and there, there's certain things like part of my relationships that I enjoyed was like cooking for someone. So that's a piece. But like you said, you invite friends over all the time for dinners. And that's how you get around those little feelings, I think, is by making sure that you're always surrounded by those things. Funny enough, the gal I was traveling with, she said she's in like a blended family, essentially. So her partner has a kid from a previous partner, and so does she. So they get 10 days a month without a child in the house. So that's really hard.
But that's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but it's still really hard.
It's 10 days more than most people get. It's 10 days more than a single parent would get.
Good point. I didn't look at it like that.
Well, I do. I think you have to, and you have to make the best of those situations, but you also have to make sure that you do look after number one. I think we live in a society that is so geared to looking after everybody around you. I think women in particular feel very responsible for everybody else. Does anyone want another sandwich? Did you all get enough to eat? I have this vision of my mom. She always wanted the sink. She made sure that when my dad was building their new house in Springbank, she goes, I want the sink to look out into the yard. I don't want to be looking at a wall. I want a window, and I want it to be able to open, which is always a beautiful idea. But my mom did that because of, it was a moment. Doing dishes for her, Mom would say, is peace and quiet for myself. I can do the dishes. I can have my rubber gloves on. I can make the water as hot as I want it. And I can put the radio on and do my dishes and look out the window at the birds. And I thought, oh my God. And she probably said that to me when she was in her 70s. Aww. I said, did you like doing dishes, Mom? Well, who likes doing dishes? But I got some peace and quiet.
My dad literally fights me. I try to do the dishes at the cottage all the time, especially after my parents have made me a nice meal. And he's like, no, this is my time. He does that.
Well, I think when you can make those moments that do involve things, like I used to always have to iron That was one of my
Oh,
jobs when I
that's
was
a
11, 12,
terrible.
13. Well, I was really good at it. To this day I don't like ironing, but I would have a mountain of clothes. It's amazing with a 5-person family.
Yeah.
And my dad, you ironed t-shirts. You didn't just take a white t-shirt out of a dryer and fold it. You ironed it. It went under his dress shirts. So they had to be taut and pressed
Yeah.
out, and the sleeves had to be pressed out. But I was so zen about it. I had the steam going and the water, the starch going, and I would sit and watch Star Trek on this little TV. And when mom said, "Well, you can watch TV and you can have your chips and your pop in there." And I thought, well,
Okay.
it's a chore that I have to do, but I always figured it always suited me just well to do something I could do blindfolded, literally, and watch this tiny little black and white television and eat chips from the co-op and drink
Yeah.
Pop Shop Pop.
I think this speaks to the strength of podcasting right now, too, where people might have
Oh,
something to do, but their peace and quiet may sometimes include listening to something now, too, right?
well, that double tap, going for a walk, doing something good for your health, and having us in your ears, and we appreciate that week after week. Let me tell you what, people, we
We
really do.
do. But I hate folding, and I will listen to a podcast and fold for hours. That's fine.
I'm not a huge lover of folding
Yeah,
myself.
not my
Yard
thing.
stuff I really like doing, but if I'm on the mower, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's the gayest thing I do. I'm out on my ride-on mower, going around my
Tis the
yard,
season.
and I really, really love it. I just love it. But I always listen to a podcast. Like I'll put these headphones on and just listen to. Sometimes I will listen to our own show just to make sure that the quality control is there, people.
Yes, don't worry. I
And
hear about it.
and shout out to the OnlyJanns, because I had a bunch of old OnlyJanns at shows this past 2.5 weeks, and they let themselves be known. We're OnlyJanns. I saw some OnlyJanns t-shirts. I saw some horseshit t-shirts. I
Oh,
saw horseshit
amazing.
hats. Yeah, it was really great.
I love
Um,
that. Yeah, there was a moment like at the end of the show where I forget her name and I'm so sorry, but she tapped me and she's like, "We're fans, and we must be in celebrity row here." They like spotted Caitlin and Merida Shaw
oh yeah,
beside
yeah,
us.
yeah.
So cute, but everyone seemed to have a great time. I almost think your only Jans from the first evening show like planned to go together and like literally all went in a group. It's crazy.
Well, I know that when we do comp tickets, Chris usually has them in bundles,
Yeah,
fourth or fifth row, and I can barely see people,
yeah.
at any given time, but I
Yeah.
could kind of spot where you guys were,
And
your
and
little
they
group.
cheered so loud when you shouted out Caitlin and I. They were like, "Ah!" It's so
Aw.
funny. It was a really cute moment.
I was trying to find a song to send you guys that wasn't too depressing. I'm thinking, if I send them a fucking depressing song, what is that? What is their takeaway going to be? I can just see Caitlin going, "Why do you think she sent us that? That doesn't
I
seem
was
like the
like,
great."
this is kind of romantic. So I
I know
loved it.
I sent Wishing That. Wishing
Yeah.
That's a great song. I thought Wishing That, for any of you guys listening, I thought Wishing That was going to be the next Insensitive. It was on my third
Oh,
record. I thought, this is a great song. It was never meant to be, ladies and gentlemen. It was a single, and I think it was top 20, which isn't
mm.
terrible. But
One
anyway,
tour question. I have one tour
yes,
question for you.
anything you want.
Because like you're celebrating, anniversaries of these records from the 90s and of course
Mm.
mixtape is a trip back to that time. Is there a
Hmm.
song in your catalog that's like really changed in meaning to you over the years that you've been performing right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of them do more for me as the years go by.
Yeah.
And have Wishing That, for example, I remember that all the hopes that I had pinned on that song. And when it came out and it was just like barely crawling up the charts, it dawned on me that that wasn't the point for me at all, to have something perform well. I think the fact that the music was making its way out there at all was a triumph to me, and that I was doing
Mm.
something that I really love to do. And I think from that point forward, certainly that third record, I focused much more on my creative heart and making things, and not putting or having any kind of success that I felt that I was getting rest on sales, chart positions, uh, sort of these things that didn't seem meaningful to me. My Anything meaningful was my happiness, that I was writing, that I was writing down things that were important to me, that I was still continuing to tour. So I think that was a good shift for me. So in that way, yeah, that song in particular probably shifted my way of thinking a lot. And so when I sing it now, it's like, oh God, the sentiment is there, and I did exactly what I wanted to do. But it does change over
Oh,
the years, like wishing that you love me too. Unrequited love sucks. And being with someone that isn't there even when they're with you kind of doing stuff, you know something else is
yeah.
going on. They've already pulled themselves away from me. So I was very observant in my 30s about relationships that I wrote about. Like
Yeah.
I was probably hard to be with because I was always so hyper focused on how my relationships were going, and I stole so much from them. I wouldn't have wanted to be with me. Fucking everything you do is going to end up in a song. Like how good does that feel? No.
Yeah, you know, the Taylor Swift effect, really.
Well, my God, can you imagine dating someone that famous? Probably one of the most famous women on the planet. I would
Yeah.
imagine that her and Lady Gaga and Beyonce are three of the top tier, singer songwriters on the planet
Yeah. Yeah,
that have
totally.
that kind of. So you're dating one of those people?
Like,
No.
whew. Yeah, it's almost like you have to have a talk at the beginning of the relationship. By the way,
And here's a non-disclosure agreement. You cannot write about us. You
have you
can't
ever
write
done
about.
that? Have you ever done a
I
non-disclosure in
yes,
a relationship?
yes.
Okay.
Not in a
Okay.
no. Back it up. Not in a
Okay.
relationship. I've done a lot of them in my work.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Totally. Like,
Yeah.
if like, a relationship with someone like me, it's like, this stuff we're going to discuss over here is going to stay over here. That type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactamundo. I don't
Got
know.
you. It's
Okay,
very
moving on.
fair.
We still have time, and I do want to talk about
Yes.
this. And
Tell me.
Caitlin brought this story to us, and it's not pretty. It's not easy being pretty. But the take on this is about Japan, a country that is renowned for so many things. People that work extremely hard, that are very driven. When we talked about success a minute ago and what it kind of means to me in my life, it is everything in Japanese culture to succeed, especially for men.
Mhm.
There's just a lot of pressure. So more and more men are taking drastic action to continue not only performing well, but to continue to look as young and youthful as possible. It's really important in their workplace.
Mhm.
Um, and it's all they have reasons to. I mean, these are men, right? But most of these procedures are done so that they can enjoy longer romantic opportunities.
These guys,
So,
like in the article, their skin looks pristine.
yeah. Anyway, I'm going to let you take this. You walk us through this article because it's sitting right in front of you.
There's this 33-year-old who believes that looking young leads to more romantic opportunities and greater trust and attention at work, even. So, not just even in your personal relationships. And his
Mm-hmm.
obsession began a decade ago. So, that makes him 23.
Jesus, he's a fucking kid.
Yeah. After a comment from his boss about his thinning hair. And that's heartbreaking. Your boss commenting on your hairline. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Like,
It doesn't. You
shut
just
up.
don't say shit. No kidding.
Yeah. And so around the same time, he also went through a breakup. And so he was looking for strategies to like feel good again. So now he talks about wearing sunscreen every day, rain or shine, does not smoke, um, skips late nights, exercises regularly, visits beauty salons for skincare, routine stomach checkups, like all this stuff. And he said that his skin looks the same as it did 10 years ago now. So remember Cynthia Loyce talking about othership?
Yes. The cold water plunges.
Yes.
It's a whole thing
Yeah.
with. Okay.
So this sort of reminds me of this movement that instead of on a Saturday evening going out to drink somewhere to celebrate someone's birthday, like I've been invited to someone's birthday at Othership on a Saturday night.
Is
So
it
it's this.
weird?
I mean, I didn't go, not because I thought
Oh,
it was
okay.
not because I thought it was weird, but because I had like something else going on. But I love the concept because like, instead of setting yourself back and feeling like shit on your Sunday and starting the week, it's like this idea of doing something like wellness related, but in a group with people you want to see and catch up with, right?
Mhm.
I don't agree with everything in this article. Like he was talking about eating only one meal a day, which I'm like, dude.
That's been proven to not be the greatest idea for
Yeah.
your body. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been doing that for 5 years, frozen vegetables and spices only. I'm like, dude, the benefits of fresh food, you're missing out. I'm sorry, but you're missing out. This brings me back to these really delicious strawberries that I had in Italy.
Your face just now.
Because it was
Vegetables?
so,
Oh.
like, everything was so fresh. Like, the food in our food chain here is just so. I lost weight on this trip, Jan, eating so much pasta, drinking so much wine, and like walking a lot, but like losing weight. What?
Well, you're not getting genetically modified food. You're just
Exactly.
not. You're getting they have such strict regulations, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Certainly not in all of Europe, but I
Yeah.
remember I know exactly what you're saying. Like Italy, the food there,
Yeah.
I would always be like, I haven't gained an ounce, and I have been eating pizza, spaghetti with tomatoes and that beautiful olive oil that you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I just they do it right, and
Yeah.
up until about 10 years ago, they did not have problems with obesity with children in Italy. Um,
Yeah.
they're catching up now because of why, folks. People want an American diet.
Mm,
They are inspired, those fools, how the Americans do it. Portion size, sodas,
mm-hmm.
pops and things like that. And yeah, the kids are finally, you're kind of
Yeah.
seeing the results of that in schools. Anyway,
Go.
yeah, I'm
I was just gonna ask, going back to that article though, like when did you start caring about like skincare and like, not that it's anti-aging, I don't think either of
40s,
us. 40s?
40s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. I was just interested
I
because like
when in my 30s, even I was one of those idiots that I just went to bed with my makeup on all the time.
I've done
I'd
that.
come home from drinking and I'd have mascara. And you wake up and your fucking eyelid is stuck onto your cheek, and
You're like,
it's
mascara's still on. We're just gonna keep it on and keep going.
party. Yeah, I just in my mid 40s, I hunkered down. Um, and certainly going into my early 50s, I'm like, oh no, I'm going to start spending money now. I'm so fastidious about skincare routines and washing my face
It's a form of self-care though, not just to
mhm.
like what we call anti-aging or whatever, right? Like there's something really nice and calming about, oh, I'm going to do my toner and then my
Yeah.
moisturizer and my
Routine is
serums.
good, and it's good for
Yeah.
sleeping too. When you have a nighttime routine, it's scientifically proven that, excuse me, if you adhere to this routine, you're going to sleep better. And you're just going to, like, if you read your book and if you have this set time, my Aura ring, and you know this, Sarah, it
Yeah.
tells me to start winding down. My sleep has been so shit for 3 weeks. I've been so turned around. I've been in so many time zones. When
Yeah.
I'm out east to Halifax, New Brunswick, out there, my ring doesn't know whether to shit or squeeze an orange. It's like, is it bedtime? What are you doing? Where are we going?
Yeah.
You've had 3 hours of sleep tonight. Your number is like 41. I would just wake up feeling like, oh, I feel like a 41. I'm
Yeah.
referring to something called an Aura ring, OURA. Look it up. It's worth investing in if you do not want to wear a bracelet or a Fitbit or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's
It's a
much more
ring,
comfortable.
charges for a week, $300, somewhere in there. And I know that's pricey, but well worth. It's changed how I sleep and how I
Yeah.
get my rest. I want to ask another question about this. What is the most ridiculous extreme thing you've ever done to look younger or better? Sarah Burke, what have you done?
I don't think I've done anything extreme to look younger.
Never.
I don't think so.
So,
Yeah,
do you have any
like
friends, without ratting out their names? Do you have any
yeah.
friends that have done lip plumping or the
Oh,
fillers or?
all of my friends do that. I have zero
Okay.
interest. All of my friends do that, or Botox. And there are people who need Botox for other reasons, like headaches and things like
Headaches,
that.
sweating.
Sweating. I don't know about
Yes.
this.
Under armpit sweating, Botox takes it away. You do it once a year.
Have you done this?
No, but
I kind of want to try it.
someone that I work with does, and someone that I also work with does it for migraines.
Okay.
I don't know what they do. They release muscles up here, and
Somehow,
it has
yeah.
changed her life. But yes, sweating. People that
So
have
interesting.
really the big stains under the armpits that can't do anything, like they try every deodorant in the world, Botox under the armpits is
Interesting.
clinically encouraged, and it might even be part of Alberta healthcare, or maybe I think it can be part of our healthcare system if it's proved medically needed.
Okay. Really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been just and it's probably, it rubs off on me hanging out with people like you that, like aging is not something we're really scared about, so we just don't think like that sometimes.
Would you
Yeah.
rather look 10 years younger or be 2 inches taller?
I don't even care. I don't care for either. I literally don't care for either.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
I
I
think
just
I
don't
look
care.
pretty good.
You do. Absolutely, you do. So, just for the listeners, what is the
Okay.
bedtime routine with skincare right now? How many products are you using?
I have an eye cream that I use morning and night. It switches, but I use something from the Care Principle. It's a Canadian company, and Dina Puglisi.
Dina, yeah.
So she started a company called Care. I am addicted to their serum, their skin serum. I use that twice a day. I wash with soap and water. I
Oh, me
use
too.
a nice neutral soap. Dove is, Dove soap is a neutral pH balanced soap. You don't need anything fancy. Soap and water is going to be fine. Like some of the perfumey soaps, I don't really
No.
prefer. I try and get something quite neutral. But that's morning and night. Daycare with SPF, always, always,
Always.
always
Yep.
sunscreen. You don't fuck around with that.
Like our
Always the
33-year-old friend.
yes.
He got that
And
right.
yeah, he did get that right. And then I'll at nighttime once again I use Neutrogena makeup removal stuff because I'll put a little tiny bit of light makeup on. My SPF is tinted. So if you're looking to kind of kill two birds with one stone, I don't wear makeup in my normal
Mm-hmm.
life a lot. I'll do a little bit of mascara and stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm the Neutrogena soap and water. I have a really good night cream. You can get, I'll tell you what, go to Shoppers Drug Mart or a drugstore. There's so many great deals on skin creams. And I'm not going to go all crazy on this is the best skin cream, this is the best.
No.
Just put it on. I don't think it makes a shithole of difference of what kind of skin cream you use. I could be really wrong. You don't want a lot of perfumey stuff. Look at the ingredients. I
Clean
don't
as
use
possible.
anything with animal products. I don't put anything with animal products on my face. I make sure that it is a plant-based vegan product,
Yeah.
whatever I use.
The
That's
less is
important.
also better. Like, I used to use so many products years ago, and my skin
Yep.
is much better now with
Yeah.
fewer products.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't
But
confuse.
a good night cream, I would put that on. And I always do
Mm-hmm.
lip balm. There's lots of night lip balms you can get. Um, just our lips, the skin on our lips is so different, and you
Yes.
just need to kind of keep that moisturized. And no one wants to walk around with cracked lips and split
I'm
lips and
so
things like that.
dry. The airplanes make you so dry. Like my under eyes are like crackling off right
Yeah.
now. It's terrible. Anyway.
Well,
So
when just keep your skin clean. Just wash
yeah,
your makeup
that's it.
off.
That's
But
it.
that's it. I don't have anything. I can travel super light if I have a little day cream and a night cream that I carry
Yeah.
with me. But I do like around the eye. I like something that's specifically formulated for that skin.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be rough on your face when you're washing your face. So if you're taking your makeup off, make sure you use like a makeup wipe or a makeup cleaner. Because soap, if you're like going back and forth on your eyeballs, oh my god, that makes me that gives
Yeah.
me that pings my string, folks. Listen, you're gonna come over and talk to us on Patreon because we're gonna be talking about things that only Sarah and I can talk about on Patreon.
I have
Did you
to
hook
tell you
up with?
about two people.
Oh, okay.
Not full hookups. Not
No,
just got my makeouts.
we're
I got
not.
my
Yeah,
makeouts.
that's it. We're not telling you about anything else.
Okay.
And I'm also going to tell you about some stuff going on in my yard. And I want to talk to you about my garden. Yes, I do. What's happening with my garden is very exciting. And maybe some other stuff that we're not even going to tell you right now. But listen, thanks for listening. And do we have any other little announcement? Oh, we got to get our book bag online with Eliza Reid, Death of a Diplomat. That was our book this past month. And hopefully everyone has read it. There's still time because I think we're going
Death
to
on
do
the
that.
island.
Death on the Island. Sorry, can I just say why I said Death of a Diplomat?
Because there's
It's
two.
because she has two different in the States. They called no in Europe.
In
There's
Europe,
two
I
different
think.
titles for the book, so it's Death on the Island.
Yeah.
But
But
it's
if
the
you read
same
Death of
book.
if you read Death of the Diplomat, it's the same. It's all good.
Same goddamn book. Same book.
So
Sorry, Eliza.
We will put a poll in Patreon like we always do with some times. We're just gonna let Caitlin, enjoy her trip, but like in the next week or two, it'll be happening.
Yes.
Two other little announcements I would say is that we've got some exciting guests coming soon, including our friend Miss Trigiani.
Yes, Adriana Trigiani, our wonderful author who has Big Stone Gap. I mean, she's done so many brilliant books, but a lot of you would be familiar with a book that she like was so involved in the script writing. Whoopi Goldberg was one of the stars in the book, but she is a kick-ass broad. She's got her own podcast about reading and about promoting, new authors. And she's got
the new book takes place in Italy, Lake Como. So
she's Italian. She's an Italian lady.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can send them in to us because we're recording with her next week, but the episode will come out when her book comes out in a couple weeks. And then we also have Dan Riskin lined up. So if you have any animal questions.
Yeah, no, Dan Riskin's great. But someone who's on our list who could be happening very soon is Rosie O'Donnell. So we probably shouldn't be saying anything, but I'm going to say it because I'm going to put it out into the universe that she actually got back to me and she said, yes, I will do your podcast. But we're now searching for dates. So that's where we are right now because she's busy. She's living in Ireland and that's where her people are from. That's her heritage. And she's over there. Can't say as a blamer. And, but yeah.
So there's your heads up.
Yeah. Lots of fun things happening.
Send us some voice notes. I did not. Do you want me to see if we have any voice notes?
Let's look. You know what? We're casual. If we can end with a voice note, oh my God, I've got a giant squirrel in my bird feeder and he's being chased by a giant crow.
I was
very exciting here today.
I was like, yeah, can you stall for a sec while I download? Let's see what we got here.
No.
This is part of my job that I didn't even do today because I forgot. Okay, let's see. Here's one. I'm just going to download.
Yeah. Crows are so huge. So this guy's sitting outside my kitchen window. Him and the squirrels are going back and forth of who is going to fit into this. This crow is so big. He's trying to assess. This is what he's doing right now. He's like, I can't fit on the ledge of that bird feeder. So he's cocking his head from side to side. That is so, he knows he can't do it. Oh God, they're cute. I love watching them. Okay.
This was not the stand-up comedy I was hoping for. Okay. Here's our first voice note. We'll see. Oh wait, you're not going to be able to hear that. Hold on, I have to put it in live mode. One more second.
Okay, live mode. Sorry, we are professional
podcast from Halifax here. This past weekend, as I always do after a busy work week, I get up early, find a quiet chair, and armed with my first coffee's aroma wafting deliciously around me, log into your podcast.
That's it. That was from Karen. From Halifax.
Karen, I'm telling you, are you a freaking poet? What is going on with you? The first coffee wafting and that was very, very lovely. Listen, you need to do a book, girl.
We got a few more.
Okay.
Hi, ladies. My name is Chris from Erin, Ontario, and I'm a long-time listener. Jann, I was just at your Kitchener sold-out show this evening. You looked great. The sound was wonderful, and that's important to me as I'm a sound tech, and it's hard for me to go to shows with bad sound. That wasn't the case tonight, though. The lighting for your show was also brilliant. Congratulations on a fabulous show. I love the podcast, by the way.
Thank you very much. You know what? It is a good show. We have a young sound guy who did my in-ear monitors for years, Dakota. And he is superb. And I'm very, very proud of my crew. The production crew, Chris Brunton, who puts all these shows together and works so, so hard on the lighting design and the sound designs and how the shows are shaped and how I come out and change clothes and all the stuff. I have nothing to do with that.
How many costume changes was that, Cher?
Four. Very proud. Okay. Hey, listen, I kept my jeans on and my boots on, but I did change up the jackets and the.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so send us some voice notes. We want to know your questions for Dan Riskin, for Adriana, about her new book, and anything as it pertains to this conversation that we had today.
And if you have anything for Rosie O'Donnell, I'm just putting it out there.
How could I forget?
If you got any questions for her. Anyway, thanks for listening to the Jann Arden podcast and show. We will always want to thank our sponsors for all the things they do for us, and to our Patreon, who help us to keep content fresh and to keep this boat on the water. Yes, to keep this boat on the water, to keep these olives in the branches. Look after yourselves. I hope you're enjoying your summer. Like Sarah said, send us a voice note. Let us know about your gardens or plants or fun things that you're planning to do, trips or, just things that you feel like we want to hear about. And also, we love hearing about how great we are. So never, or you can also insult us. It's not a problem. I can take it. Sarah can take it. Caitlin's the one who's sensitive. She cannot take an insult. Anyway, look after yourselves. We'll see you next time. Jann Arden Podcast. Toodly-doo.